We live? I think we're live. I assume we're live. It says we're live, so let's assume we are. Good morning. Welcome to umbraCoffee episode 160. And today we are, as the title says, absolutely ecstatic to have
Callum,
Sam.
we're live, right?
Sam here. How you
know
doing?
that.
I'm great, thank you, mate. How are you?
I'm good. And as people can probably see, Marcin is experiencing some technical difficulties this morning. We've just been experimenting with the stream, and we think his internet connection's like 30 seconds out, so this is going to be great fun.
In theory, I'm back, but I don't know in reality if I'm here. So if so, good morning, everyone.
You are here. Good to see you.
Cool.
And of course, Sam, you're kind of a new face here. So maybe do you want to introduce yourself?
So I'm Sam Mullins. I live down in Bournemouth. I'm a web developer at an agency called RedWeb. So we build umbraCo and Sitecore sites mainly, and we've also got a PHP team. So the first umbraCo exposure I had was maybe roughly 10 years ago. But nice. Since then, I've done less and less as Sitecore's taken over as the main area.
Yeah, we can't talk about Sitecore on this show.
You guys, I feel exactly the same. The less we can talk about Sitecore, the better.
Well, that's interesting to know that the people that work with it also don't like it on a daily basis. That's good.
Yeah.
But so you know umbraCo, and you've been around the community a long time, just not necessarily a active member of the community. You've not been necessarily visible.
Yeah. So the last probably production site umbraCo site I worked on was probably on version 4. So
yeah, nice.
I mean, that's version 4 after version 5. So
yeah.
So V6 before steroids.
Yeah,
exactly.
Nice.
So I've got sort of a bit of a history in it, and then it was just a case of didn't really do much, and then I wanted to sort of get back and have a personal site again. Looked around some of the other things, so you look at Squarespace and all that stuff, but when you're a developer you want the control, so you go back to where you start. And
nothing like building it entirely yourself. Every developer wants to do that, don't they? Don't want any of these off the shelf. You need full control when you build it. That's cool. And so, as you said, you worked with umbraCo a long time ago. By all accounts, you were a big fan of umbraCo. Kind of. Well, as you said.
Yeah, I loved umbraCo. It's so within the agency, I used to be called Sam Bracco because I was the go-to umbraCo guy who would always sort of hold the banner for umbraCo. And to be fair, there
is always an internal evangelist in every company. That's the case. Internal evangelist of umbraCo.
Yeah, and when it comes to umbraCo and RedWeb, that person is me.
That's awesome.
That's cool. And of course, you're here today because you've released a really cool package, which we will be mentioning later on, called XStatic. But we will get to this point soon. But from the community perspective, of course, we are wearing some of the umbraCo swag today. I'm wearing Legacy orange and blue. You might remember it, Sam, from the past days. Right now, umbraCo has different colors, right?
I was going to go and find out my only bit of umbraCo swag. And it was from the umbraCo UK Festival in 2013.
Oh, nice! That's really vintage. Got to brush the dust off that one.
I couldn't find it, so it's somewhere in the. I do still wear it, so it's somewhere in the washing somewhere.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So just a green jumper, I'm afraid, guys.
Yeah, but of course, on this note, it's umbraCo Teas Day today. It's informal gathering of umbraCo swag being shared across the channels on socials, and we've been evolving this idea since its beginning. Right now, it's umbraCo Hoodies Day, umbraCo Socks Day, and umbraCo Everything Day. I was just waiting for someone to wear a mug or cap from umbraCo UK Festival or something like that. It's still on the to-do list, but we've been seeing, and of course everyone can follow the hashtag on umbraCo Teas today, and join the fun to share your swag. And Sam, maybe if you'll find it later on, just join the train and use the hashtag to get recognized. A lot of people, a lot of friendly faces joining. as we've said at some time ago, since lockdowns, it became really popular and really easier to participate in this kind of activity on Twitter and other socials.
If you look at some of the recent tweets as well, there's been some really good ones coming in, actually, including one from Christian, who's the people person at HQ. He's the happiness guy, and of course Friday in some workplaces is also like dress up Friday. You've got to have what's like, wear a suit or something, and it's kind of
red tie. Go for some fun and wear a red tie.
Yeah, right, exactly. But he's created a hybrid here where he's got there we go. He's got his his formal Friday attire, but also mixing it up with an Umbraco t-shirt. And by all accounts, his wife wasn't impressed, which is good. Good effort. Well done.
Totally worth it. But yeah, let's observe the hashtag join. The day is not over yet, and of course everyone is welcome. And always, I don't know, from my perspective, maybe you, Sam, will agree as well. It's a good to see this legacy stuff and the stuff and swag from the conferences from the times when even I was not involved in the community, to see what was then and how people were enjoying it, and they are still carrying it on. So that's great. And so yeah, if you have the oldest swag somewhere hidden in your house, just dig it out and share, because it would be great to find it.
Now that would be interesting to see who has the oldest swag.
Probably Niels.
I mean, Niels is obviously the number one.
I know that people like Lee Kelleher, like Aaron Powell, like Doug Robar, they've all got some really unique Umbraco swag. Things that are like 1 of 20. I'm sure Warren, who's here in the chat as well, has got some incredibly old Umbraco memorabilia.
But it might have changed, because we've been also seeing some messages about the swag being or not being sent for example, for Hacktoberfest participation this year, because Umbraco, as same as many other companies, also offered the alternative to doing the swag thing, and this year it was an offer to plant a tree, for example, to help in general to the world and to the ecosystem. So the swag might become something less shared, maybe less popular like that. So it will be good to collect it and get back to the old ones. And it was really good and well received from the community, because a lot of people choose to plant a tree instead of getting the swag.
I know for sure that people would rather not receive a t-shirt that they're not going to wear than do something good, give money to charity or plant a tree. And also, I think we've seen a trend of exploring alternative swag. It doesn't have to be t-shirts. I know the kind of reusable mugs that we had at the UK Fest, was it last year? They were, or the year before. Now, damn, this is time flying. They were really good, and they still get a lot of use, which is nice to see. So yeah, great job, Umbraco, for doing planting trees. I had a bit of a dilemma, and I think Owen did as well, because of course
both.
I do wear the Umbraco t-shirts and I do want one, but I also want to be good to the environment. So I opted for
half of the t-shirt.
Opted for the t-shirt, but I have a little forest. I do like a carbon offsetting thing with a company called Ecology, and I've dumped a bunch of trees in there to kind of hopefully maybe compensate, so I don't feel so bad. I know Owen's done the same. He's planting some trees in Scotland. Nice
thing. So yeah, just keep it up, and hopefully all people will decide on their own, and we will see more initiatives like that in the future. Coming back to Umbraco and Umbraco products, it was also a packed week in terms of releases, and we can start from Umbraco 8.11 release, which was quickly extended with with a patch release after finding out the issue with NPOCO upgrade, so right now it's 8.11.1. And it has some great features, which we were mentioning earlier, because the product update stated about it. We had an RC released a couple weeks ago already, right, Callum? It was a couple. couple weeks ago. And yeah, there is a blog post following the release. Everyone can find what is new inside of it. I didn't know that there is a feature with this back office logo change. And
I think that was a Hacktoberfest contribution, which is nice to see. It's a decent release.
Yep. And Sam, question to you then. What is the latest version which you've used right now? When you are developing package or testing the package, what was the last one?
So I can find out, but it was probably 8.9 or 8.10. So it's pretty up to date. I just haven't I did actually see when I sort of had a look, would have been this morning or last night, the little blue bar popped up saying, "Do you want to upgrade?" So if I was a professional and I prepared for this, then I would have known about that upgrade before you just spring the question on me live.
I know a few people yesterday had a few problems. Obviously, they quickly released a patch for one of the issues, but a few people who had upgraded then had some problems with dependencies and versions. So yeah, maybe you were better off, giving it a couple of days. But it does look like a great release, and I do have to say that with every release, 8 gets better and better and better. It must be a big shock for you, Sam, having previously used umbraco 4 as your kind of introduction, and then moving to 8, which has got shiny UI.
So I mean, I have used umbraco since the UI changed, just not in sort of like a professional manner. It'd be, I mean, I'm sure you guys know, it's when you think, oh, I'm going to do something, and you start building something and it never sees the light of day. So it just happens that because we're locked down and there's nothing else to do, those little pet projects which never see the light of day actually have seen the light of day in this situation.
Yeah, that's awesome. I quickly wanted to kind of take a slight tangent on this umbraco 8.11 release topic and talk about release candidates. Because Sam, you work in an agency. Marcin, you work in an agency. I run a small agency. So umbraco releases release candidates for each of their major, minor releases, and they release them 2 weeks before the general release. Now, of course, there was some issues found in this latest one, and I can't help but wonder if there's not enough testing of release candidates going on. I wanted to kind of discuss what the appetite is there for. A new piece of software comes out, you're using it on a client's website. Do you make the time to test that release candidate works? How does that work in agency land?
Yeah, I can answer for myself, and I always suffer from finding time and the will to test RC. So we are not updating clients' projects to the RCs. We usually use RCs on the fresh install to check what's new, if it's working, stuff like that. When we have time, of course, because I think that the biggest problem of agency life is like there's no time for things like that. Instead of support contracts and maybe ongoing updates, which are happening after the confirmation that it's released and it's okay. So that's how it works on my end, and I can fully admit to that probably we need to improve in this area as well, because RC was out, no one noticed this issue or no one reported this issue, and maybe just simple awaited to get it fixed when no one fixed it in the meantime, right? That's the thing. Somehow how you were working usually in your end? Did you install the RC alphas, betas, or anything like that from your perspective of any tool, not umbraco only?
So very unlikely. We're very similar to you in like time is the most precious thing when you live in agency life, and it's incredibly rare that there's downtime throughout it. And when it comes to making those priorities, it's unlikely that that's going to be testing a release candidate of a new version of a CMS. And that's just unfortunately the case. And it's very unlikely that it would be different in other agencies.
Yeah, that's maybe something what we need to change somehow. I don't know how yet.
I can safely say the times I use a release candidate is when I want a feature that's in it and maybe need to develop against it. So I used the 8.10 release candidate because it has a directive for a color picker and I needed the color picker. And that was great. In fact, I waited to develop a piece of functionality for that release candidate to come out because I knew it was coming. But I can, if we take, say, in the umbraco 8.11 example, if we take the NuGet install stats at pure face value, on Tuesday, which I think we're going to talk about next, Marcin, umbraco 8.10.2 came out, and 2 weeks ago, umbraco 8.11 RC came out. Now, in only 2 days, 8.10.2 had surpassed the number of installs of the 8.11 RC. And that's people using it in production. They want to upgrade. They want to get the bug fixes. So in only 2 days, more people will go and install a patch than they will test the next version, which might have a few issues in it, which I find interesting. And I don't know a good solution here. I think we've all identified time's a big constraint, a big problem.
I think about some options here, and it's like getting towards the upgrades which are even in 8.11. It's like automated upgrades or silent upgrades. If we'll have a automated process of having a side project set up somewhere on cloud maybe, or maybe even on our own infrastructure, and having it automatically updated to the latest, for example, on every week. And quickly run some Cypress tests even on this environment if everything works fine, or even the page loads, because that's the biggest and the initial test which we should perform. And maybe that's something like that. That's something what I want to discuss with my team. And I totally relate to this issue, because I feel bad that we didn't test it out, because right now we cannot complain. No one can complain because issues are here.
So to be very fair on HQ here, I was in a bit of a discussion yesterday between Runa and Philip, and they were kind of apologizing. And I don't think there's actually any need for them only to apologize. It's also on the community to test the product to an extent. But HQ could make it easier to test the product, encourage people, maybe give longer. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of things there. I know Philip's looking at it. One thing that that I know that Nick shared, which I think is a great idea, Nick Remington, recently, is on Umbraco Cloud. Wouldn't it be awesome if you could opt in to be automatically upgraded to release candidates, to preview versions? As a lot of, like in Gmail, you can tick, I want the preview
beta features.
GitHub, Bitbucket lets you do it. I would happily opt in on a few specific sites, maybe where they're less critical, to do that, and it takes some of the effort out of testing a release candidate.
And you will discover issues quicker for sure if something will get down.
It's an interesting topic. I don't really know what the solution is. I don't think there is a nice one, especially for agency people or freelancers who kind of bill by value, delivering value for a client. It's a really tricky one. But I'd love to see what happens here. And it does seem, it's nice to see that, Sam, you're also recognizing that this is an issue regardless of what software it is. This is not an Umbraco problem.
Oh yeah, it's not an Umbraco problem. It's every single piece of software in the world.
Yeah.
But Callum, you've mentioned the new patch releases, and that's something also what we had on our agenda. It's like all of the recent versions. There was a question on Twitter raised by Lee Kelleher, if I remember correctly, why since 8.6. So maybe it was an answer if I'm correct. But from 8.6, there were patch releases for every single one version with some new cherry-picked upgrades and fixes, and everyone can enjoy.
The reason, you're right. The reasons about why are we patching down to 8.6, not 8.5. Philip said he's going to release a blog post, which will be nice to kind of explain their thoughts on patching and support going forwards. I think in this case, 8.6 introduced an issue with, introduced the SQL main DOM lock, and one of these issues is a patch for that. So that's applied 8.6 and beyond. And equally, I know that my nested content fix, which was applied from 8.7 and above, has also gone in. So it's kind of, patching the features, patching bugs that have occurred and from the version they've occurred in. But it would be good to get some clarity on it, definitely.
Yeah, let's await this blog post, and we'll probably have answers for all of our questions. That's the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, and Sam, time for your work, because as we've said, you've released a new package, also released your new website. So after all, became a lot more visible across our Umbraco community. Tell us more about your recent work and about XStatic.
Cool. So it was really one of those things where, when you start from a small problem that you want to sort of solve, and then it ends up getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Well, all I wanted to do was put some photos online, and I didn't want them on Twitter or Facebook, and I didn't really like how they looked on other websites. So in the end, I decided to completely from the ground up make 2 open source packages and host it not on something that anyone else has ever hosted an Umbraco site, which is the actual absolute classic way to waste loads of time to save yourself £70 a year or whatever it is.
I think those are where the best ideas are formed, though. When you have an itch that you want to scratch, and it may be completely meaningless to anyone else, but you go, okay, I really want to do this, and then actually other people look at it and go, that solves a problem for me too. That's great.
It's same with spending 6 weeks, for example, for automating something what takes 1 second, and it's done 2 times.
It's exactly that, yeah. So, like for those who don't know, the idea of XStatic is you build a site in Umbraco essentially exactly the same as you would before, and the only difference is it generates a static version of that site, so HTML files, packages up the CSS and the assets and stuff like that, and puts them onto a hosting account that doesn't require you to have a database, which an Azure database costs quite a bit of money, or use the cloud thing. So for situations like mine, where it's just going to be a little site with the occasional blog article and maybe just saying this is who I am, you don't really need all of that extra infrastructure. But because we're devs, we also don't particularly want to run a production site on the CE database. So this was the option I came up with. And it's not really a new idea. So I actually looked at the commit history of something I built similar to this, and it was in a Mercurial repository. So that tells you how old it was. So it was in 2013. I was actually approached to sort of make a proof of concept on version 4 of Umbraco, very similar to this. And then what ended up happening is, so in the UK, we had a prime minister who was a little bit naughty and essentially said to his bigger buddy over in America that he'd back him up no matter what. And that ended up in a thing called the Iraq inquiry, or the Chilcot report. Yeah. And they needed a way to manage content, but it needed to be obviously incredibly secure, and it needed to be hosted in a way that was like massively scalable. And that is where a static HTML site is almost unbeatable, really. So that was the idea back in 2013. I didn't even build the site. I just built the proof of concept and then sort of moved on with my life. And then 7 years later, like you say, that the same concept works, but for the exact opposite reason. I don't need to scale it out to loads of people, but the same things that make it cheap and fast also make it cheap and fast for me.
Yeah, but also you still can scale it, right, and still run it for a huge traffic. And as you said, we've been also talking before when going live that there were some approaches, right? Kevin Jam did a proof of concept on using usync to generate static sites. There were some other community approaches. I can't remember who else was approaching the same thing, but it probably I also didn't test it that much, but I also did a 1-page app back in the days, which were was exactly done this way, so generated to the static strings from the Umbraco content and served that way. So it's not new, but here I would say from all these approaches, I think the XStatic is like it just feels the right way. I saw it and I felt it like, okay, I can generate my site, I can download it, I can deploy it, because deploy feature is also something what you've introduced there, right? You're using Netlify, if I'm correct, for the one, right?
So that's probably the sort of main differentiating thing, really, because statically generating a site isn't that hard. You're really just calling a web client for each of the URLs in the tree. Yeah. But I mean, I can actually show you. So there was some content that I was going to publish on my website today. So if I'm incredibly brave, I can show how it works.
Live demo,
which is So I've been, like I said, I just wanted somewhere to put my photos, really. And that's what kickstarted all of this. So I had a new page that I've set up. It's got some pictures of reptiles, as you can see here, just to prove that this isn't a sort of thing. So I've only got 2 weeks so far. So this is currently not published. So there is an auto-publish option that I've got selected in this. So as soon as you publish a page, it actually rebuilds the entire site. It's not clever enough yet to work out what needs to be required, because it's tricky, because when you've got navigations on pages and related content, that actually ends up being the most complicated thing. So, I mean, this page should now be published. So then we've got this XStatic generated site section of Umbraco, and I can very quickly, yeah, I did. I made sure I changed the Netlify password fields so they didn't show. And so you can set up as many of these as you want in the back end, and you can really just start from the simple things of you select the root node of your content, you select root nodes of the media you want. Export format is normally going to be an HTML site for this. You don't need to know about the last run, last deployed. They're just to know what to do.
Yeah.
Say where you want your assets to be packaged up from. And as we were saying earlier, so Netlify is currently the only option, because so Netlify's got quite a nice HTTP API, which you can just call. And so what it does is it doesn't upload every single file every single time. It actually does hash checks before you upload it. So it's only updating the content that has actually changed. So it's not ridiculously slow. It's quite efficient, actually.
Yeah. We were using Netlify with Squidex for our blogs. It's still run through this approach, and we are changing it on the Markdown or on the version of the static files, and it's uploaded and deployed straight from GitHub repository. So that's also possible, and that works really, really well on GitHub. But here it's like an extension, because the CMS and Umbraco CMS is a source of the data and source of truth.
So ideally, I did want it to use Git, and one of the main reasons is Netlify's got, I can't remember the title now. It's like, is it Git LS or something like that? Basically, it's Git repositories for large media files in a more efficient way. So what you can do from that is essentially it's 2 Git repositories, one for your content and one for your media, and then you can hook that all up with Netlify. You just post the full res assets up in that media Git repository, and Netlify itself can actually manage the image resizing. So currently you can see here, I've got this image crops field, which isn't particularly clever, but it's just, these are the very simple image sizes I use on the website. When I generate the site, it will get them in those crops and upload those crops, and then depending on how long we've got, there's a few little concepts in here, and one of them is called a transformer, which just takes the input string of the HTML, and you can run operations on that to change it. So one of the ones I do is changing the image crop URLs from Umbraco to those image crops that I made in this bit. So you don't have to use your, like 24 megapixel images just for a thumbnail.
Yeah.
So that's how it's all set up. It's quite simple, and it's all done within it. So now that I've published it, I've currently got it as 2 separate processes. I don't know if it's just because I'm sort of a control freak. I like to know when each thing is going to happen. As you can see here, I've only done 3 of the things. The size of the built assets can go up quite a bit, especially because you're duplicating, quadrupling at least the images. So it can get quite big. But hopefully what we'll see here is it doesn't take a minute to upload 130 megabytes of files, because it's just working out what it needs to do.
That was very quick.
I mean, I've cheated a little bit there. So the images were already published.
Fine.
And we're up on there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many images I had on that page, but uploading media is going to take time. But the actual deploying to Netlify itself isn't too bad. So this is real test. Now I can see. I mean, I haven't got them in the right order for some reason. That's probably a bug with my website. But you can see the site. So I pressed deploy less than a minute ago, and I've got a thing full of pictures of reptiles very quick. So it's quite a slick little process. Works well for a small site like mine, but there's no reason why it couldn't be scaled up. You've just got to be a little bit careful about when that size of the folder that you're making starts getting really, really big.
Yeah.
And as a little beta thing that I've just put out for people to have a go with if they fancy, that's not a problem I've looked at solving yet.
Very nice.
Yeah, there's one question from Warren about GitHub pages, because that's probably the another question, which is about the static sites, because GitHub pages is pretty well and often used in terms of serving static sites.
But I guess expand the question. The kind of, there's loads of popular ones. Netlify is probably the leader in the static site hosting platforms, but you've got GitHub pages, Azure Static Web Apps now. You've got, I mean, even what if you want to go old school and have just some Linux server and an FTP to upload the files? I guess all of it's possible.
So each in the code there's interfaces called like iDeploy or something. What you'd have to do is implement them, maybe hook up a little bit of stuff in the umbraCo dependency resolver bits and pieces, and then you'd set the deployer ID would match an ID in that interface. So it's very extensible. The only like Git support is obviously the next very useful thing, because not only do you get the bonus of some of those Netlify things I was talking about, but it also means that it's really easy to push to GitHub pages. Like there's Azure ones which you can do from Git repos. I mean, as soon as you can start hooking stuff up to Git repositories, basically you don't have to write a connector for every single different provider of the web services. You just put it in the repository, one provider, and it goes out wherever you want. You could change from GitHub pages to Netlify, and in theory not really have to change anything.
And as you were saying, of course, Netlify is doing the kind of hash comparison, but Git's going to do exactly the same thing. If the file's not changed, it's not going to get committed. Yeah, that's really, really neat.
So it's something I mean, like we were saying, it was built for me, and then it's there for other people to use if they fancy using Netlify. But it's probably not a massive change to put in a Git provider. I just don't know how to commit Git files from C#.
But so the code's available, it's on your GitHub, and it's open source, so people can contribute, right?
Oh, yeah. Anyone can steal it, contribute, do whatever they like. One thing.
It's pretty great documentation out there on how to use it. So it's like exactly enough to start playing with it and exploring it more. And you've placed it also on Hour, so everyone can also install it from the package section in Umbraco. So if we can use it as a call to action, is like test it out. If you have a use case for a static sites to be generated, test it out, try to break it, and try to help fixing it if it's required. But it looks like it does the job, and it's just a matter of use cases and needs of someone else, as you've said, in general.
That's exactly what it is. I think so. The documentation I've written there probably covers the basics of getting started, and it's all there if anyone wanted to play.
Nice. Yeah, great work on it, and big high five Rock for sharing it and starting from a high note on becoming more visible, because it's exactly something what we probably a lot of us needed for playgrounds, and also in terms of shipping the outputs of the generated sites. And custom transformers. I didn't notice it earlier, but right now I think that it will be something what is needed for various use cases as well.
Yeah, that was, so I put that in after I actually initially did it, because the idea was in there all along. And it's quite easy to do. There's a base class that you just have to override, and then you can configure that in So there's a config file in the app plugins bit of Umbraco. You can just set up as many different sites with different transformers as you want. It's not too hard to do. It's quite easy.
Never say it's quite easy. It's not easy. It's quite easy if you've already done it. It's always like that. It's
is true.
It's always like that. But cool, that's great, and yeah, let's just explore that, and it's really great to see it on being released, and let's hopefully people will test it out, give you some more work to fix and improve and extend the generator. So really well done. And speaking about other releases, because we also had various other releases this week, I think.
It's been a big release week, hasn't it?
Yes, and of course some of them also relates to various other things which we've mentioned, like image crops and so on. So yeah, let's go through them quickly. Translation Manager, new release from Kevin Jump, 8.5 version with some pretty cool new features and fixes being rolled out. Mike Macy from Yo-Yo released. Is it an upgrade or new version of this?
New package.
It's a new package, yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen it. It's called Theme Picker, but there were some discussions on the fact that it can be used not only to pick themes, because it has an image and some values as an items. So we can probably extend it to use it as a picker of various other things like layouts or maybe items or styles of some elements. Pretty cool feature, pretty cool package released by Mike. Callum, you've released an upgrade to search extensions.
Two upgrades this week. Search extensions has got culture-based searching now. You can, like, when you go in an exam inquiry field and pass in the name, you can also pass in a culture, and it will handle all of the multicultural stuff. And another one that my team contributed, which was dates are automatically indexed properly now. Oh, and super value converters this week too.
Yeah, with some upgrades and bugs fixes.
Two releases on that, a V7 update and a V8 update.
Nice. I've released an upgraded version of my package for image crop speaker, which is being fixed right now as well after some tests from community, which is exactly the thing which we wanted. We wanted to test it, to use various cases, and hopefully I will release an upgraded version today or next week. It's for picking the crops, and that's why I think it will be also good to relate to the XStatic crops version, because maybe we can base it on Umbraco image data type to generate only crops which are used on the website. That's just an idea, for example. But yeah, we've released it, and it can be used and tested from Nougat and Hour. And Igloo theme received a new upgrade with a lot of new things. I was not following, to be honest, the recent upgrades on Igloo, but
stuff is there's block list in there now instead of nested content. So
exactly.
Much like Uno, Umbraco's offering, which is based off Igloo, kind of modernized a few things, improved a few things. I guess kind of backported a few things from Uno or from the lessons that have been learned from that. So loads of updates there.
That's from the releases perspective. And the next block is Meetups. And again, a lot of Meetups is happening next week and weeks. Umbraco leads Meetup with a very interesting topic and talk done, which will be done by Phil, is titled, "Is Umbraco still a valuable CMS in 2021?" And it's happening on Thursday, February 4th. Second one is the week after, and it's about A/B testing. And we were mentioning these meetups already, but they are definitely worth to grab more people to attend, because it's a really fancy topics to discuss. And London February talks on February 11th.
.NET Core extravaganza. We've got a whole bunch of .NET Core focused talks about Umbraco on .NET Core, and in the product update that was released today, Runa unveiled that the target for Alpha 3 of Umbraco on .NET Core is February 9th, which you'll notice is 2 days before this, and we coincidentally have Biarka who will be joining us. So let's see if that goes ahead. We may be getting some awesome demos and the like, but we'll have Emma and Carol doing similar talks as well about .NET Core. Sign up, should be good.
Already a lot of people interested in that, so yeah, sign it up. And there are new on the agenda. So there is a February Glasgow meetup announced for February 16th, with a talk from Tim Payne, who has a lot to share and a lot of information from across the development and life and in general experiences. So go and join the February Glasgow meetups as well. And already 11 people signed up. And last but not least on the umbraco meetups list is umbraCamry meetup announced for what's the date? February 18th. So yeah, and Nick is going to talk about is there topic shared or not yet?
So the series
Creating
of
public,
the membership and public profiles for members. They'll be doing a talk version of that, which is good. Can you believe it's February now? We're talking about February meetups.
No,
it feels like we're still in March last year. Really
and Sam, to involve into this discussion after you are back, are you also planning to visit some of these meetups? Do you feel like something what interests you at this moment? Did you participate in any of them?
I mean, I imagine when we in the UK are finally allowed to leave our houses, we'll do anything we can to leave.
These are online meetups, so that's also a good opportunity to join them. But
I will go and have a check. I'll see what.
But you mentioned the umbraco UK festival. Were you participating in many of these in the past?
So 2013 was the last one.
Oh, the last one.
Yeah, I really have been away from the land of umbraco for quite a while. Unfortunately, it's how it is. What is employing you at the time is what takes your attention. And I think in the current market, the sort of what a open source CMS with a pretty reasonably priced cloud service, that's only going to be good, I'd imagine. It's a really good offering at the moment. I mean, I've seen some of the other packages, like is it Marketing Suite, which brings in a lot of the things which some of the more pricey CMSs do. I mean, I think umbraco's actually got quite a strong offering at the moment, and it is definitely something that we're looking to be involved with more.
Yeah, let's hope more people will either come back or join the movement of populating this kind of initiatives, because not everyone knows that it's possible with umbraco, and not everyone knows what are the possibilities outside of just running the CMS itself. What is cool, and of course even mentions like that or blogs or all the meetups and packages and being released are just proving this kind of point of view. So which is cool. From speaking about blogs, we've had a couple blogs as well shared this week, starting from Mark and his long and really cool as well as always. I wanted to say blog about V8 variants and all the editorials experience around the languages here, with a great story and great description on how it can be approached, how it can be improved, and with also highlights of some of the fixes and workarounds which were shared across the socials and blog posts in the past. So it's pretty cool for everyone who is dealing with variants and languages in umbraco V8 plus. Really great blog post. I really like it. And the next on the list is a blog from Carol about content templates, and I think this one is very underestimated feature. I don't know, guys, if you will agree with me, but it's like it feels like we need to use it more for tests, for simplification of our work, for the predefined pages and templates. And I really like this blog and description on how it can be done, because I even shared it with my team, because I think that our clients, our projects, everyone needs to use it more often. And thanks, Carol, for sharing this and promoting it as it's worth definitely doing it more and more. The next one is post about testing tools, and it's a long-lasting debate on which library to be used across the unit tests for .NET and not only. And here Dennis decided to compare and to describe some of the capabilities of an unit and X unit, and it's on his blog.
Can I just add his blog? His blog is awesome. It's been rebooted since like the start of the year, since December. He's got a bunch of really, really great blogs on there that are well worth reading. He even gave us a shout out last week, Marcin, when I gave him Contrib of the Week for his unit testing repo.
Yeah. So it's not only blogs. It's also a great work and code after that, and yeah, keep it up, Dennis. And I think it's really great to see this being applied. And debate is never over. What we've done recently on our blog is added comments to bring some more discussions on that. And I think it's worth to have discussions about these topics, and let's have them. The next one is Kevin Jump blogged about permission-based Umbraco dashboards, and it's great to see a tutorial, I would say, step by step, how to configure the permission-based access to custom dashboards and various dashboards. So it's great and well written as a follow-up to the releases done by Kevin this week. And Lee's week notes from the new week, which I haven't catch up yet, but I've seen that there's a umbraCoffee mention on it, and there's a card. Oh, so this one is the one. So I've seen this ones. So yeah, great highlight again of the Lee's week. Not only Umbraco, but it's great to see what's happening there. So that's blog section on our great set of links today. And Callum, the next one is the other things.
Yeah, we've got some other bits from around the Umbraco world, haven't we?
Yes. Starting from a great idea.
Yeah, this one I saw this morning from Paul Marden, and I love this. It's a really nice idea about, like, if you've got some young kids or something, we're a friendly community. Let's extend the friendly community. Introduce your kids to a Umbraco pen pal somewhere in the world, maybe. I think this is a really nice idea. Hopefully it can get some traction.
Yeah, so call to action, help Paul and his daughter. The next one is a video released by Hank, and it's about adding sign language to online event. We've been mentioning it because Hank either did a blog about it, or it was it blog?
He did do a blog post about it. So Hank, for anyone that's experienced any of the events that Hank's done, Hank works at Microsoft, but he's been in the Umbraco community a long time. He's an Umbraco MVP as well. He has ran the Dutch festival with Arnold. The virtual DF20 conference that they did had fantastic sign language interpreters there. Every event he's done has had that, and it's been really, really impressive. And he's kind of just showing you exactly how they do that. And he talks with Maya, who's the sign language interpreter that they work with, to kind of explain what the process is, how you go about doing this. And of course, they've got sign language on the video itself, which is just as excellent. So give this video a watch, recommend it.
Yep. And 2 or 3 blogs from Umbraco this week, which is starting from a new hire, and it's Chloe. And Callum, you've sent me a link with another one, right?
Yeah, we've got Chloe, and we've got Dimitri, who has just joined the team as well. So Chloe is joining as part of the Coma team, and I had a little read of this, and I did notice that every time she spells her name, she puts an apostrophe after, and this is explained as to why. Because she's from the Czech Republic, but the comma after it, I think it's supposed to be an accent, but it was a mistake or something as a child, or she did it wrong as a child, and therefore she now does that, and it's kind of her thing, and I love that. That's really interesting. And Dimitri's joining the Suits team.
Suits. Yep.
Yeah.
And he's from Estonia, and as well, a story about a specific person joining Umbraco team is shared, so everyone can let know more people and more new team members, highlighting their user stories and how they've started being involved with Umbraco and company in general. And if anyone will decide to join Umbraco as well, there was new offer shared this week. And as of course, due to the corona and all the madness going on the world, there is more remote opportunities, and this is also a remote opportunity for someone to join Umbraco team. And it's a team lead for Black Ops team, and there is a great explanation on the involvement or of the whole role in general. And it seems like a person like that is a really well required and really required in the Umbraco team now, and everyone can apply, right?
Yeah, so this I was a bit unclear about what this role was, but
Huntsman.
it's their second level support and kind of quality assurance, which is cool. And the role involves also training up the people in the second level support team to fix bugs on core and to kind of progress into being able to develop against core. And I really like that idea as a kind of intermediary role between support and development. So yeah, apply.
And last on our list is shout out to Scrift, who become more active on Instagram. Sam, a question to you. You are on Twitter. We've seen you. Do you use any other social media where you are looking for information usually?
So Twitter, I just use as a place to put things that I've done. I don't really do a huge amount more. Facebook, I scroll through every day because it's been a habit since I was 16. And other than that, not really. I'm not really too much of a social media guy, if I'm honest.
From the other hand, I'm a massive social media guy, and I love social medias. I'm not a creator recently for a reason, because I'm creating outside of social media, but I will be back. And Instagram is my preference tool and my favorite social media, to be honest. So it's extremely good from my perspective to see more Umbraco activity there. And the Script team is doing amazing recently. They're highlighting all of the Umbraco news, highlighting also other announcements, other initiatives with some blog posts with roadmaps and stuff like that. So yeah, I just really wanted to share it. And if anyone is on Instagram more than on Twitter or on other socials, definitely it's worth to search for Umbraco hashtag, search for Script magazine, and just follow and give them a follow to stay up to date with Umbraco announcements. And I believe that this is somehow some New Year's reception or plan for Script to take over Instagram around Umbraco area. So it's really great to see that, and yeah, fingers crossed for making it more popular there. And that's all on our list. Damn it!
That's only these
things. So as you can see, nothing is happening in the Umbraco community. You didn't miss anything. But yeah, it's great to connect to worlds, because I believe that it's just a beginning. If you will get more I don't know, ideas, anything to share, just be free. Feel free to reach out us directly, or just we will be definitely finding this information on various social medias, Twitter included. And thanks for joining us and sharing your work here. That was great to see that.
Thank you very much for having me. It was good fun.
It looks like a very cool project, and I think a few people from looking at the chat have been kind of inspired a bit. Maybe Warren's made some suggestions about how you could do Git committing with C#. So yeah, hopefully it sees a little bit of uptake. Of course, it's in beta currently, but it would be awesome to see the community get behind it.
Oh yeah, that's only because I don't want to commit to it being good enough for real time.
I've been there.
Yeah, but that's a good call to action. Help and contribute, test and explore. And yeah, thanks Sam again. And everyone have a good and lovely end of the day and the weekend ahead. Like, subscribe, share it with your colleagues. If anyone is looking for a static size generator for Umbraco, and not only check out the Sam's work and pass it on your friends and colleagues. Thank you everyone. Cheers, and see you next Friday.